Did you know that you can hack your home to feel calmer and look tidy and organized in 5 minutes or less? I know it might sound impossible, but stick with me here because in this video, I'm sharing 20 simple 5-minute hacks that prove you don't need to spend a ton of time or money to get your home organized and clutter-free. These tidying hacks are quick, cheap, or even totally free ideas that anyone can do no matter how busy life gets. And by the end of this video, you'll have a toolbox full of hacks and habits for a calmer and more simplified home. Hi there, friend, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Marissa, and this is Apes in Life, where I share all of the best tips and ideas to help you simplify your way to a home and a life you love. But before we dive into these organizing hacks, I just want to give you a quick heads up that if you struggle with clutter and mess, or you just love getting tips about decluttering, organizing, or anything related to simplifying your home or life, that you absolutely do not want to miss out on your chance to get a free ticket to the hottest organizing event of 2025, which is the Get Organized HQ virtual conference, where over 100 experts, including myself, will be sharing all of our best tips and ideas on topics such as home organization and decluttering, budgeting and saving money, getting your paperwork and digital life in order, how to prep your meals and plan for holidays, and so much more. Over 130,000 people attended last year's conference, and there's still time to get your free ticket by signing up with my special link down below so that you can be right there when the doors to this virtual conference open bright and early on September 8th. I can't wait to see you there, and let's dive into the first hack on this list, which is turning a cute little gift bag into a cute little storage container.
Okay, so all you need for this hack is a gift bag and a pair of scissors and maybe a pen or a pencil if you want to mark out where you're going to be cutting. I didn't use that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay down the bag here and grab my scissors. And instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend the top over and I'm going to use my fingers to crease it so that I know exactly where I need to make the first cut. And then I'm just going to cut off and remove the very top of the gift bag. And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take the scissors and I'm going to cut a little bit less than halfway down two of the opposing corners. So the reason that I do two and only the opposing corners is because I like it to be a little bit more sturdy on the inside and give it a little bit more support, especially if the gift bag is on the thinner side. And then once we've got that cut, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the gift bag up and I'm going to fold the cut pieces of the gift bag inside itself. And then just repeat the same thing on the opposite side, using your fingers to crease the top. Now, if you find that you have some extra paper on the inside, you can either cut it down or use your fingers to press and crease that in place too. And then just fill it up and it's ready to be used for storage. Another hack I love is using a hair dryer to remove labels from things like organizing supplies, or if you're anything like me and you like repurposing spice containers and extra jars into storage containers, then using a hair dryer is a really good tool to help you get those labels off and make them look nice and pretty. Now, I don't have any jars that need delabeled, but I do have a small bin here that I've been meaning to get the label off. So I'm just going to make sure that my hair dryer is set to hot, and I'm just going to kind of run that hot air over the label, and what it's going to do is it's going to warm up the glue, making it easier to peel the label off the bin. Next up is a hack I've never heard anyone else mention, and that is using empty spice jars for bath salts. So the story behind these bath salts is that we recently went on a vacation to Florida, and the day that we were leaving, as we were checking out, they gave us a package of bath salts with an essential oil blend that matched the essential oils that they use in their hotels as a farewell gift. Now, I do just want to point out that when you're selecting your container, you want to make sure that it's a spice container that has larger holes on the top of it, because some of the holes on these containers are too small for the bath salts to easily pour out of. So definitely take that into consideration and wash it well before you pour in your salts. I love repurposing things, and I love giving and getting consumables as a gift, so I'm really excited to start using this hack in our home. However, I do just want to point out that if you have very small children, this might not be the best way to store your bath salts, so keep that in mind when you're putting it in your bathroom. But my boys are old enough now that I think that they can use this appropriately, and it's such a cute and easy way to put Epsom salts into your bath water when you're taking a bath. Another organizing hack I've been using for years is the empty box hack. So all you have to do is find a sturdy container and remove the top, and then you can use it for storage in your cabinets. I'm using this box to store some empty jars and dressing containers and spice containers that have kind of been just sitting around in my cabinet for a while. And this is especially good for items that aren't exactly the same size and shape that you want to contain together in one place. Hack number 5 is a trash bag storage hack, and you might recognize this plastic bin from one of the previous hacks when we were removing the label. And honestly, I've just been using it with the label on for a while, so it felt good to finally take that off. But this clear bin is something that I got from Target a while back. It's part of their Bright Room collection. And what I love doing with this particular bin is using it for trash bag storage. So basically what you do is you just put it underneath your kitchen sink or inside your drawer or wherever you keep your trash bags. And then all you have to do is reach in and pull out a trash bag, and it will roll inside of there and you can easily remove it. And then depending on the size of your trash bags, you might also have extra space for other things, like I put a kitchen sink plug in there and some extra sponges and rags that we have. Now ours are 13-gallon trash bags, so like I said, it depends on what size you have, but for us it's roomy enough to fit a couple extra things in there.
Now, when it comes to my trash bag bin hack, I actually keep it underneath the kitchen sink. But one thing I wanted to point out to you here is that I did keep the lid for the top of this, but instead what I do is I slide it under the bottom. And I use that underneath here when I'm pulling out the trash bags, because what that does is it just kind of gives it a bed to kind of slide around and shift, but still contain it so that it's not kind of hopping all around your sink if you have a lot of space. So when you pull it out, it's just a very smooth lifting action, and then it's not kind of shuffling things around underneath your kitchen sink. And then another organizing hack I like for under sink storage is to use bins or baskets to create a kind of drawer that you can pull out and store things inside, as opposed to how I used to store things under the sink, which was I used to just take things in their individual bottles and just place them one by one everywhere. But then when it came time to get under the sink, I had trouble finding what I was looking for. I would be knocking things over. And so this hack makes it really easy to just kind of pull out everything so that I can look down and see what I need all at once and very quickly and easily grab it out. And so this is how everything fits when I have it stored underneath the sink. Another one of my favorite kitchen storage hacks is to use bamboo dividers inside of drawers. And as you can see, they're adjustable, so they fit in a lot of different spaces. You just need to take a little bit of measurements before you order these, and I'll make sure to link them down below for you in case you do want to check them out. And I have already used some of these dividers to organize the inside of certain kitchen drawers, but since then we've acquired a few new items, such as we got a barbecue grill for the outside of our home, and therefore once we got a grill, we needed grilling tools, and when those tools are not in use, we don't leave them hanging outside in the elements. We bring them inside and store them here inside the drawers. So what I want to do is use these bamboo drawer dividers to organize those tools.
I just want to point out that before I put in the drawer dividers, I like to take the time to kind of put things together and arrange them how I want them to fit in the drawers when I put the dividers in there. And I'm not going to lie, having drawer liners that have kind of a line grid on them is really, really helpful for allowing me to know where to put these items inside the drawers. So, shout out to this vintage drawer lining paper that the previous owners put in like 30 years ago because it's really coming in clutch here. See how easy that was? That took basically no time at all, and now my drawer is organized and I can find everything that I want without having things kind of get jumbled around when I'm opening and closing the drawers. I've also been using hack number 9 for years, and that is to store any containers or items that have lids with the lids on. So, this is great for people who tend to lose the lids to their containers and then end up with way too many containers and not enough lids, or vice versa. And this hack doesn't just work for meal containers, it also works for things like lidded pitchers. So, for example, this is my absolute favorite lemonade pitcher. I absolutely adore it, and I make lemonade all the time. And I make sure to just keep this lid on top of the pitcher. And whenever I'm done using it and it's clean and I put it away, I know exactly where it is, exactly when I need it. And if you feel like you have too much stuff to accomplish this, I'll be sure to link a few decluttering videos down in the description box below for you as well to get you help with that. Another great hack for keeping your home and life organized is to hack your meal plan. I used to be someone who didn't plan meals ahead, which often meant I would be scrambling at the last minute to figure out what I was going to make, and sometimes not even realizing I didn't have the ingredients that I needed until it was way too late. But nowadays, I make sure to plan meals in advance and grocery shop according to those weekly meals. Also, I'm not someone who meal preps a huge amount of food in advance because my family gets too bored of eating the same things over and over. But what I will do is double the recipes so that we have leftovers the next day, reducing the time and energy I need to spend cooking. Like the saying goes, for every minute spent organizing, an hour is earned. And this one small organizing hack for the kitchen only takes me a couple minutes at the beginning of the week, but saves me hours of time later.
Okay, so remember how I used that storage bin lid underneath the kitchen sink? Well, before we move on to the next space, I just want to run upstairs really quickly and show you another hack that uses lids. Okay, so here we are in my upstairs, and here in this hallway storage closet, you can see that we've got some Swiffer and steam and wet and dry and wood mops. And what we've done is I've taken this lid that was from a different IKEA bin, and we use it to put as a barrier between our wood floor and any mops that might have some residual moisture or chemicals on them. So that's another creative idea for repurposing lids in your home. Ooh, this next hack is juicy, if you know what I mean. And that is because I like big bins, and I cannot lie.
Although Marissa adores a good rump shaking, she unfortunately cannot share the exact Sir Mix-a-Lot song she's singing due to copyright laws. However, she does hope from the bottom of her heart, as it were, that you enjoy her stirring rendition of Baby Got Back, set to ancient bardic music. And if you also like big bins, please don't forget to give this video a like.
I think I did too much dancing. I guess organizing hacks are just too fun. But I am sweating like crazy, so I'm gonna go put my hair up and I will be right back.
Oh, and by the way, the actual hack is to use big bins for backpack storage. We've been doing this for ages, and it's so easy because it gives kids a landing zone that they can just dump their backpacks in when they get home from school and be done with it without making a mess.
Okay, so this next organizing hack is one that I actually stole from my grandma, and that is to repurpose things like cookie bins or cake bins into organizing and storage solutions. So this bin that I have here was actually gifted to us by our realtor when we closed on the house that we are living in now. And since then, I had had this little container sitting in my closet, wondering what I was going to do with it. And then when we finished the previous school year this past summer, what I realized when I was going through my boys' school and arts and craft supplies is that we had a ton of leftover markers. So that meant that we could use them at home. And so I used this little container as our marker storage bin. So if you have any of these containers in your home, think about what you could put inside of it. This next hack is for anyone who has placemats and is sick and tired of having them slide around their table or having their kids use them as frisbees. And that is that you can use a cute little tray as a storage area to corral your placemats on the table. So what I have here is a round bamboo tray. And what I've done is I've put all of our placemats inside of that. And then when we're not using it, I can also put a little vase in it and put it in the middle of the table so that it looks a lot nicer than just having placemats sliding around everywhere.
While we're in this area, another great hack I wanted to mention is that as a rule, the best place to store any item is in what I like to call its location of use. So, wherever you or the other people living in your home actually use an item, that's where it should live. Which might sound like common sense, but you'd be surprised how many women have clothes and shoes that they keep in multiple different rooms and closets throughout their home. So, for example, because my kids have always liked doing their homework at the dining room table, I made sure to set up a sideboard that would give us enough storage where we could keep their backpacks and creative and school supplies close at hand for them to use when they're working at the table. And I keep my oven mitts and hot pads in the drawers right next to the stove top so that they're right there on hand, so to speak, when I'm cooking. So remember this location of use rule whenever you're organizing any zone or space. Another organizing concept that a lot of people take for granted is the idea of making all of the organizing solutions in your home accessible to everyone who needs to use them. And this is especially important for people with mobility issues, but also young kids who need to learn to take responsibility for their own stuff. So when I was organizing our shoes in the front entryway closet, I wanted to make sure I had a rack that was low enough that my kids would be able to access it when putting shoes on and taking them off. And the same thing goes for our hats, gloves, and scarves, which I ended up storing in two woven plastic bins that I am keeping on top of the shoe rack. One that has summer items stored inside of it and the other that has winter items stored inside of it. And this is a great hack for teaching kids responsibility for managing and organizing their own stuff as they grow up, because I'm a firm believer that keeping the home organized should be a team effort, and the responsibility of keeping things tidy and organized shouldn't fall on any one person's shoulders. So let's teach everyone how to put their own stuff away and make that easy for them to do so. Hack number 17 is called the reverse hanger hack, and this is great for anyone who needs a reality check about how much of their wardrobe they are or aren't wearing. And all you have to do to use this hack is go into your wardrobe and take every single item of clothing and turn it backwards so that the hanger is facing the other direction. And then once you've got everything facing the other direction, the next time you pull out an item of clothing to wear, you will put that item of clothing back into your closet facing the correct direction. And then depending upon the climate where you live, you either give it 3 to 6 months or up to an entire year to see which items in your closet you are actually wearing, and anything that still has the hanger facing backwards, you might consider getting rid of. Organizing hack number 18 is the clutter bucket hack. And basically what this means is putting something like a bin or a basket or even a plastic bag in, say, your wardrobe or other spaces where you tend to find clutter but don't have time to deal with it at that moment. And then what you can do is just take the thing that you're thinking about decluttering and drop it into the clutter bucket for you to deal with later. Personally, I like having a basket or a bin close at hand where I can drop those items that are in good enough condition that they can be donated, and then I keep a plastic bag inside of my closet that I reserve for those clothes that are too damaged to sell, donate, or give away, say items with holes in them or worn out socks, that I can then later take for textile recycling. Hack number 19 totally blew my mind when I figured it out, and that is to store extra linen sets inside of their matching pillowcase. Now, as a minimalist family, we only own one set of sheets for each bed. However, we do have a set of linens that we use for a blow-up mattress when guests come over, like my sister and nephew who recently came to visit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the folded linens and I'm going to put them inside of the pillowcase that matches them. And then I'm just going to kind of fold that over nicely and use that to store inside of my closet. And this is a great hack for keeping your linen closet or wherever you store these items nice and tidy.
Now for this last hack, I wanted to circle back to the kitchen with you to talk about one of the most life-changing ways that you can organize and simplify your home, and that is by simply owning less. The fewer things you own, the less time and energy you'll spend maintaining those things, and the less space they'll take up in your home, giving you room for the things that matter. Getting rid of over 90% of our stuff went a long way in helping me radically simplify our home. And then the things that we did keep are things that we love and use on a regular basis and that tend to serve multiple purposes. And this is actually a topic that I've been touching on frequently this year, including in my last video about the must-have trends that I'm avoiding right now, because there's a ton of appliances that have been tempting me and making me want to buy them. But then when I stop and think about it, I realize that I don't need to own a fancy blender and a slushy machine maker and an ice cream maker and a stand mixer when I already have an appliance that can do all of those things and more. And that's just one example of how owning fewer things helps keep my home and life simple. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic. Do you have any cool tips or hacks for owning less and keeping your home organized and clutter-free? If so, be sure and drop me a comment down below and let me know what they are so that we can compare notes and share ideas for keeping our homes tidy and easy to manage. Or you can go and check out one of these videos that YouTube thinks that you'll like. And don't forget to grab your free ticket for the Get Organized HQ virtual conference down below. And I'll see you next week. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.